Hello everyone, this is Grace. It is February the 26th, 2023, and we are continuing our study on the Unborn. And today we're going to be taking a look at Jeremiah 1:5. Jeremiah 1:5 is put forth as scriptural proof that the child is actually considered a living being before it is born. And I heard this scripture noted over and over in the videos that I watched. Let's go ahead and read it, and then we'll discuss it. Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. And I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. So they say, well, because before he was formed and brought forth, he was ordained a prophet unto the nations. Now, this is a very loose claim, and I think everyone knows it. But I pulled up some scriptures for it anyway. I felt like it should be addressed. But I'm not going to address it. I am going to address it for other reasons other than what I'm going to put forth first. But I want to just point out something quickly. I don't believe that you can use this scripture I believe that this scripture would conflict with what it's said to prove if you try and say that it proves that a child is a living is a living being in the womb. And the reason why is because he has here, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. Now you can use this part, and before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. But if you say that he is a child as soon as he's conceived, then this means that before he was conceived, he knew him. While he was a spirit still in heaven, before he even came into the child, before the spirit even came into the child to make the living being. So these would conflict with one another. Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee. Now, if you don't believe it, you can say that formed means fully formed. But if you say that a child is a child at conception, then doesn't that knock this out as being a conceived child? It would have to be before he was formed in the belly. He was conceived in the belly. Anyway, that's not the argument that I'm going to make. That's not what I put up scriptures for. I pulled up scriptures because I think that most people know that God knows everything before it's going to happen. And so he is able to ordain a person as a prophet before they're in the belly and before they're born. And this is not at all any kind of proof of anything, because God knows everything before and after. It's necessary. We have a scripture. I can't remember if I put the scripture in here, but we have scriptures where he says that we're not going to be tested beyond our limits. I think I did put it in here. Let's go ahead and read through our scriptures. It's the very first one. I did not mean to put this here, that's for sure. But anyway, they're out of order, I guess. There has no temptation taken you, but such is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. God knows beforehand what is going to happen to us. And so he will not allow us to be tempted beyond the point of escape so that we can be saved. It does no good for him to put us here to be saved, and it's impossible for us to escape the temptations and the terrors that are around us. Well, I said the terrors, but it's impossible for us to escape the temptations that are around us. You know, for instance, if you're starving, I don't know. I take that back because I was starved. But I don't. But that has to be. You have to be built up to that point. Is what I'm saying. You have to be able to withstand the temptations. To whose much is given, much is expected. That's just all there is to it. If you're given more, more is expected of you. If you're given less, then you're not expected to do what others around you would do. And he said, "Hear thou, therefore, the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him, on his right hand and on his left." Okay, this is the story where God is showing, I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just not in the mood right now. This is where the king asked the prophet if he should go to war. And the prophet tried to tell him no. But the prophet said, go do what you want to then, or something like that. And the king said, no, be honest, tell me the truth. And so he gave him this prophecy. And he said, "Hear thou, therefore, the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on the throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him, on his right hand and on his left. And the Lord said, Who shall persuade Ahab?" We don't need this. Okay. We don't need this for this study. I got a little ahead of myself. I forgot why I put it in here. Well, I put it in here, I guess, to show that he knows he allows what temptations that come through to us to actually bypass him. Everything happens because he says so. He allows it. Because he knows in advance. "Thine eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them." Let's look at the ESV translation. "Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them." This is exactly what I've been saying in the previous 2 verses. God is omnipotent. He knows everything before, and he knows what's going to happen in the future. At all times, everywhere. This doesn't mean that the child is a baby. "He saw his substance, yet being imperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them." He knew that he was going to be born. That's all that's saying. Oh, wait a second. As a matter of fact, this says, "as yet there was none of them." This could be, when as yet there was none of them. No, because he's talking about his members, his body parts. I was about to say, you could say the same thing about John 1:5 as that one, but he's born there. He's in the womb in that one. "But when it pleased God, who separated me from my mother's womb and called me by his grace." This is Paul. He could not be called until after he was born, after he was separated from his mother's womb. No one can be called before then. They can be ordained by God because God knows that they're going to be born. "Listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken, ye people from far. The Lord hath called me from the womb, from the bowels of my mother has he mentioned my name." He was called from the womb, okay, or ordained. That's going to be what that means. Let's see if it's the same word. Called, 2564. called, properly allowed, but used in a variety of applications directly or otherwise, be it called forth, called by name. So let's see what this one is. Through the idea of accosting a person met, to call out, that is to address by name, but used in a wide variety of applications, bewray, self. Let's look this up. To preach, proclaim, pronounce, read, renounce, say. If someone accosts another person, especially a stranger, they stop them or go up to them and speak to them in a way that seems rude or threatening. A man has accosted me on the street. Listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken, ye people from far. The Lord has called me from the womb. From the bowels of my mother has he made mention of my name. I'm not sure what the called means there. I think this means he was born. And then from the bowels of his mother has he made mention of my name. That's what I'm going with. That's my interpretation. So also Christ glorified not himself to be made an high priest, but he that said unto him, Thou art my son, today have I begotten thee. He said this to Jesus before he was born. He was declared to be his son. For unto which of the angels said he at any time, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. And again, I will be to him a father, and he shall be to me a son. And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb, and bring forth a son, and shall call his name Jesus. Really, if you look at the order of which these things are mentioned, you cannot come away with the fact. Because it says it over and over. You conceive in your womb, but it doesn't mention the life. It doesn't mention the child until after the child is born, after he's brought forth. It just doesn't. I read a lot of verses, but I mean, some of them can be confusing. I feel like they can be, so I can understand it. But it's just not so. And she'll call his name Jesus. Thus saith the Lord that made thee and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou Jeshurun, whom I have chosen. We're formed in the womb. The flesh is formed in the womb. There's another. I should have put that scripture in here. Let's go to, I came across another scripture for here I gotta highlight it. For it is the life of all, because we went back and forth with this in the flesh and the blood, with the flesh and the blood. No, I don't want to read all of this. Which is, for it is the life of all flesh. For it, okay, this is about, we'll start here. And whatsoever man there be of the children of Israel, or of the stranger that sojourneth among you, which hunteth and catches any beast of fowl that may be eaten, he shall even pour out the blood thereof. This is the blood. The blood thereof means the blood which it has been bled from the beast, and cover it with dust. For in It is the life of all flesh. The blood of it is for the life thereof. See, this is different than Deuteronomy 12. And I actually can get down with this. I can actually agree with this, excuse me. I can agree with this because of the way that it's worded. This is telling us that the blood within us is giving the flesh life. It does not take away from the fact that the spirit is within you, because the life here in and of itself is the combination of the flesh and the spirit. So the combination of the flesh and the spirit yields the flesh and the blood. It's not difficult to understand if you don't overthink it. We know that there's life in our blood. That life within our blood, the living creatures in our blood, give life to the flesh. That's what it's saying. But it doesn't take away from the spirit because of the way that it's worded. It says it's for the life. It's for the soul therein. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, ye shall eat the blood of no manner of flesh. The way that this is worded, with this word for no manner here, it allows it to be in the context of this previously stated statement here, or any previously stated statement, to be honest. It's this word here, actually. Let me start that over. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, ye shall eat the blood of no manner of flesh, for the life of all flesh is the blood thereof. Whosoever eateth it shall be cut off. The life that is within the flesh is maintained by the blood which is within it. That's all it's saying. The soul requires the flesh and it requires the spirit, but it manifests itself. The soul is manifested by the flesh which you can see and the blood which you can see. The statement is true. I still can't agree. I want to agree with Deuteronomy 12. So I am going to look into it some more. Maybe it's just me. I just don't know. It's so close to the other scriptures that I just don't know if it's me. I don't know if I'm being a stickler. I'm trying not to be. So maybe I'll change my mind. But I need time to research it further, just to make sure. Because I don't want to be a stickler. I don't want to be unfair. But I also don't want to be deceived by these. I don't want to be deceived by these people. And this is just worded so differently that I had no problems with it the first time that I read it. So, the blood and the spirit is the life, is the soul. The manifestation of that is not the blood and the spirit. The flesh and the spirit is the soul. The manifestation which you can see that it is a soul is the flesh and the blood. That's what this is saying. It is not saying that the blood causes the life by itself exclusively. It says the blood is for the life thereof. It might seem like a small thing to you. It seems like a very big thing to me, because I know that the blood is not the life. The spirit and the flesh is a life. So, this is okay. Anyway, that was our last verse. I am going to leave it at that. This seems like a small thing but this scripture came up in almost every single video that I watched. This one and Psalms. And this one. These two. So I had to address them. I will leave it at that, and I will talk to you in the next video.